All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, in the past, I've gone on record about Rutgers joining the Big Ten for nothing more than a paycheck, as they've primarily been a homecoming game for the big boys of the conference. But what about UCLA? The guts of the original Pac 12 were taken out several years ago when UCLA, along with USC, announced their intentions to leave the Conference of Champions for the Big Ten. UCLA was citing more money, which they clearly are getting from the Big Ten Conference, but going to the Big Ten has not fixed all of UCLA's issues, as their once proud football program has become an afterthought. You got to go back to 1998 to find the last time that the Bruins won a conference championship, and they have not had a 10-win season in more than a decade, and they're not going to get one here this year. Okay, you look at the abysmal attendance at the Rose Bowl, and it's been like that for quite some time. For UCLA's season opener several weeks ago against Utah, they had a little bit north of 35,000 people in attendance. And then last night, in the loss to New Mexico out of the Mountain West, UCLA barely had 31,000 people in attendance. Mind you, that the Rose Bowl can seat close to 100,000 people. And of course, because of all of this, UCLA lacks a true home field advantage, which is something that I guarantee you that the elite programs of the Big Ten are going to exploit when they come to town. You think about it right now. The only time that UCLA gets somewhat close to a sellout at the Rose Bowl is when they host USC. Why? Because SC brings more fans with them to Pasadena than the home team. All right. The Bruins, honestly, you look at it, they were just taken behind the woodshed last night, courtesy of New Mexico. And fortunately, if you're UCLA, there were hardly any people in attendance to actually care. Now, so far this season, the Bruins are 0-3, and they're going to have their work cut out for them to avoid their second consecutive losing season under head coach Deshaun Foster. Now, you add all of this up, and you just ask yourself, why is UCLA football not as relevant as it once was? In my opinion, it starts with recruiting. You look at it, UCLA for the longest time has failed to get the impact players from their home state. Okay? They failed to get those rock stars, the box office attractions, the guys who are going to make impacts, plural. And you look at it, the folks in Los Angeles, they want winners. And if UCLA is not going to consistently win games and big games at that, don't expect the folks to flock to Pasadena to come see them. I guarantee you right now, people are talking about UCLA's attendance issues at the Rose Bowl. People are suggesting maybe they just get like a 40,000 seat stadium on campus. I'm going to tell you like this. If UCLA was consistently a top 20 football program, we're not having this discussion, because I'm guaranteeing you, if UCLA was relevant, if UCLA was consistently putting first round picks in the National Football League, if UCLA was consistently up there contending for conference championships and college football playoff appearances, they're easily getting 80,000 people at the Rose Bowl. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But you have to give people something to go out there and support. And fortunately for the school, they haven't done it. You look at it right now. Over the last 2 decades, UCLA, okay, has not. They've only finished the season ranked in the top 25 4 times. All right, and their last appearance in a major bowl game, you've got to go back to the 1999 Rose Bowl. Okay, they lost in their home field to Wisconsin, and that was honestly the last time that UCLA was really relevant. And honestly, that was the last time UCLA ever finished a season ranked in the top 10. Now, with all of that said, yet along with SC, UCLA handed the Big Ten, the Los Angeles media market on a platter, which is all that the conference truly wanted. But at what cost for UCLA's program? Because if you're looking at the results that you've seen from UCLA football, okay, and you just look at it so far this season, 43-10 at home to Utah, uh, 30-23 last Saturday in Vegas against UNLV, and then last night 35-10 on your home field to New Mexico, to the point that the Lobos were taking team photos on the field at the Rose Bowl after the game. Okay, so when it's all said and done, you see this. You see the 5-7 season last year for UCLA, and you wanted to give Deshaun Foster the benefit of the doubt of a transition year, first year as a head coach. We're going to the Big Ten from the Pac-12, this, that, and the third. But you see this and say, this is why the Pac-12 was destroyed. Okay, and I'm asking that question because, of course, a lot of people clearly know the Pac-12 didn't have to be destroyed. There was money there, but the fact is, USC and UCLA just simply saw more money from the Big Ten conference. But nonetheless, this is what you got destroyed about. And you look at it, UCLA is already 0-3, and they haven't even started Big Ten play next week. And I got news for you. This is rapidly opening up to be one of, if not the worst seasons in the program's history. If SC cannot get past, pardon me, if UCLA rather cannot get past Northwestern in 2 weeks in Evanston, this is going to be a long season. You just look at, excuse me, October alone for UCLA. They welcome Penn State to town on the 4th. They're at Michigan State the following week. They're home for Maryland. They're at Indiana. Okay, and then that last four in November is not that much more promising either. They're home for Nebraska on the 8th of November. They're at Ohio State. They're home for Washington, and then they finish up at the Coliseum with USC. And I guarantee you, if this trend continues, the way that things are looking right now, I'm not sure if Deshaun Foster gets the entire season. You look at this and ask yourself, is there any hope for UCLA on the gridiron? I mean, you just look at things over the last 20 years or so. They have now gone with their third different alum as head coach, and it hasn't worked out. It didn't work out for Carl Durrell. It didn't work out for Rick Neuheisel, and very quickly, it's not working out for Deshaun Foster. Jim Mora did have some initial success at UCLA, but then going 4-8 in 2016, followed by a 5-6 start in 2017, doomed him. And of course, UCLA got off of him. Jim Mora looks like he's turning things around in Connecticut, where there's no pressure on him right there. It looked like they were starting to get it figured out with Chip Kelly before Chip Kelly just left. And of course, he took the offensive coordinator job with Ohio State before he's back in the NFL with the Raiders. UCLA is probably going to have themselves a new head coach for 2026. They have to. And it's something that they have not been able to do for quite some time. They have to go out there and they have to find somebody who is not only going to recruit California, he's going to go out there and get impact players. Easier said than done. You're competing with USC, of course. You're competing with Oregon. You're competing with Washington. And now more than ever, you're competing with the top programs in the Big Ten who can get those kids to come east. This is what UCLA is dealing with right now. And it's one of those where, what can you say? They have tried former NFL coaches. It just has not worked out. A lackluster effort so far this season for the Bruins. It's been like that for quite some time. And it's unfortunate that this program has become an afterthought. I'm old enough to remember, and I'm not trying to sound like one of those old guys, get off my lawn, this, that, and the third, but nonetheless, I'm old enough to remember when UCLA football was relevant. I'm old enough to remember when UCLA was consistently one of the top teams in those days, of course, the Pac-10. for football. They were sitting up there competing for bids to the Cotton Bowl, competing for bids to the Rose Bowl. They had a national program. They were sending guys consistently to the NFL. They had consistent first rounders. Okay, but this thing has completely fallen off of a cliff, and at this rate, I think they are just simply set up to be nothing more than an afterthought in the Big Ten conference. They went to the Big Ten, they cited more money looking to compete, but the Pac 12 for many years, and these are not my words, but the Pac 12 for many years looked down upon the Mountain West. But if you're UCLA, you're now 0-2 against Mountain West schools this year. And of course, one of your former Pac 12 brethren in Utah just came to the Rose Bowl a couple of weeks ago and beat the brakes off of you. It ain't looking good for UCLA football. That's all I could say. There's no really nice way to say it, but I simply do not know where the Bruins football program goes from here. But folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And as always, if you like what you heard and saw in this podcast, you know what to do. Just hit that like button as well as subscribing to this channel. Like I always say, it's greatly appreciated. Also, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, you can check me out at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. And the same goes for Instagram, where you can check us out at 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge. Also, if you're on Facebook, definitely check us out at the Sports Depot 365. And as far as I'm concerned, one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. But until next time, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I am signing off, and I'm saying thanks once again for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.